Alright, so I just glued these two parts on because, yep, it's seam line all over the place. And as you can see, the parts, even though are glued on properly, it's not perfect, to say the least. This kit definitely needs a new revision, a new mold. But we can work with it. Right now, I don't have to worry about this because this is going to be like inside the body, so you can barely see it. This is the one that's going to be shown the most. So, using my 400 grit plate, I'm going to slowly do this to even it out. Keep doing it in one motion, you know? Don't do tap 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 because you may end up moving your finger back and forth unless you had some sort of guide. It's going to take me some time. Give me a minute. Okay, after multiple passes, you could see it's starting to smooth out. There's a little bit of this impression there, which, quite frankly, I don't know how it would look, but because obviously you can see it from here, but you don't know how the primer would look. So I'll use a sticky tack here. See if there's any of the lining showing through. No, that actually came out perfect. Unlike this one, that you see the lining. So what I'll do is I'll use the. Well, I was going to use this, but I have my. Oh boy, where is it? I have my 400 grit sponge, which would be a lot easier for me to work with. So this will take some time for me to sand it down. Then I will sand this down to even it out a bit. Get this taken care of. Alright, so I just finished assembling the back part of this. This is actually one of the part that comes down to simulate like it's supporting the artillery piece when being fired. It has some great detail on this. Look at that. Pretty nice. Surprising amount of detail. Especially on this plate. Now this one has some parts that you can turn up and down, and here it's a little tough because unfortunately, oops, this one goes here, fine, no big deal. But these I had to glue at the end tips, and right now I'm kind of like regretting it because I think it's going to seal up and make it difficult to use, but let's test fit it here for now. Like that. Whoops. Oh, right in the hole. There we go. There is no, I don't think I've seen any male-female connectors, so this is going to be a tough one to glue on and hold into place because there's some inconsistencies. And there's going to be a lot of sanding here. Around here, here, here. Obviously here, except don't worry about that. But this part is going to be annoying. All the way around. That's the challenging thing about these older kits, you know? I mean, if this was new, no big deal, but the older ones you're going to need to put in a tremendous amount of work for it. So let me do the work. Okay. Well, I've been working on the seam line here. Seam line, I barely can see it, but just keep on working on it. Use my 240 and 400 grit. The edges is the one that drives me nuts, especially when you use, if you use a stick, which is good on flat surfaces, but usually the edge is very difficult. So you got to use like strips of sanding paper like this. This is a 400 grit one, which I'm about to bend like that. And then slowly work my way here. Just also got to remember that you're doing this, not realizing that the edges will also get affected by it as well. So always remember to even it out a bit as well. You have to. But yeah, doing it on the top is not a big deal. It's easy to work with. Plus, there's a detail here which I'm going to use the saw, the scribing tool, to even it out. When you get down to here, that's when the issue starts to work, especially when it bends and curves. I have a lot of 400 and 1000 and 800 grit, but my more coursed ones I do not have. I'm going to have to look into investing in that on areas that will be difficult to work with. 400 you could work with, yes, it's not a big deal, but you will definitely need an extra amount of sanding, grit on specific areas. That's very difficult to get around. Especially here. And then using sticky tack, I'll apply it a bit. The sticky tack is good to remove like excess powder, so you can get a more visual representation, but also, of course, exposes the area of the part that shows a seam line. So that's a lot more work. I can actually do. I just need this for like the corners areas like that. So yeah, at this moment, this looks good. Now, I'm not completely 100% worried about all this, only a certain area, because the entire Canon frame will cover it from view, especially in the back, so only a little bit of area will be shown. I wish there was a better picture shown from the top, or I can go online and take a look at that. So, I'll get to that now. Let me finish up this leg, which is the next part. Now I do remember I had to sand down this area as well, because I didn't realize there are certain areas that will be exposed as it's bent. And I did sand down this as best as I possibly can. Let me see how this is. Yeah, I don't see no distortion there. This one's the same thing, but hang on a second, let me just take care of it. But once I glue this on, I'm done with that, with the leg part. I'm just going to test fit it first. There we go. This does not have a male-female connector, so I'm going to have to eyeball it and glue it. But that's how it would look like, and then it would go here like that. And here's the other leg, which I already completed. That is nice and stuffy. I kind of like it. Really neat. I did sand down this as best as I possibly can. All that sanded down. You can barely see this, but that's fine. I just gotta glue this guy up and sand it as well as this. Oh wow. That's neat. I like it. Okay, hold on. Let me rearrange the camera so you guys can see the angle of this. There we go. Okay, that's actually really nice. Very, very nice. If you guys want to see a better representation of this, here, how big it is. So remember, this is a 1/200 scale, and this is a 1/44 scale. Recently built gun cannon. Now, I did mention before, if Bandai or any other company decides to redo, reissue, not reissue, make a new mold of the monster. 1/200 scale is that, but if it was 1/44, it would be a lot thicker and maybe up to here. So instead of this being down to the shoulder, it would probably be right above it to here. It'll have thicker legs. Because 1/100 scale Spartans and Valkyries, I know, is like up to here, so their dimensions are a little off. Because I think the 1/100 scale kits from Macross are around the same height size as a 1/44 scale. So this being up to here, maybe a little taller, would be a lot better if they decide to make a 1/100 scale. So, unfortunately, and I hope maybe this will be, if they decide to make a new mold, the legs are static, facing in one direction, as you can see, unlike a Gundam where the legs can be opened up and spread out a bit in a specific angle. So this is going to be, I'm not going to fuss around with it because it's nice and locked in pretty well, and it's stable considering that I put the two weights on the legs to hold it down. I'm going to use those weights on other kits as well depending on the legs, if it will support it. But still, it's good enough to hold it down. Yet, it is wide feet, so, but I'm fine with this one. And I was thinking, oh god, I was thinking of putting LED lights on this. But that's going to be on the actual diorama base when I'm done with that. So, with that, I'm going to continue cleaning up. Let me work on this and then we'll show off more of the kit. Right, so now the missile launcher arms needs to be assembled. I've already assembled this and glued it and sanded it down as best as I possibly could, here and here. So now I got to get this one here. And I got to be very careful with this. I'm going to use this thicker glue. Many people never, I've been hearing a lot of people remarking the fact that they don't like this type of glue, but thick glue is a requirement for certain parts. What's the fact that you gotta know what you're doing? That should be fine. Put it right on top of that. Be very careful. I don't want my fingers to touch it. That's a close one. I gotta get the alignment right because I don't want this to be offline-ish. Get that there. And then close that one. Oh, okay, good. That's fine. Oops. Open that up. Been meaning to buy a clamp. I'm just going to use the thin glue. Turn that a bit because that way the alignment is right there. There. I think this needs to be glued onto that. Ooh! I knew that. Be careful. Gotta be very careful. Almost put an imprint. Yep, there's an imprint right there. But using a, once it dries, I'm gonna sand it down, and get it nice and even. All right, so let's let that settle in. All right, so I had to pull out my Mr. White putty because the edges here had gaps. Even though I sanded it down, there was one or two of these that the gaps were a little too obvious. So I took a toothpick and began applying it around the edges. And now I'm going to sand it down. I'm going to use the harder, coarser grit first. Just to get rid of the most obvious amount that's on it. And now I'm going to use a 400 grit to smooth it out. There's still a little bit of residue there, but I'll try to do this now. That's good. Let me apply the tack on this. There's a little bit of seam lines there, but I'm okay with that to a point. It was just the ones that are more obvious. If I have to, you know what? If I have to, I can take a little bit of this, put it in the tray, put it a little bit thinner, water it up a bit, and then apply it again, and then do another sanding. But for now, I think this is okay. Let me just continue on with this and the other four. Okay? Or the other three, that is. Okay, moment of truth. To actually put these guns on this kit, which, quite frankly, they're not the most stablest of parts to put in. And also, gotta clean these up as well, because these are going to be the ones that holds it up. Now there are two things I notice here. First of all, you get two of these standard parts that have nothing on it, while these two here have these little notches in the middle. They're meant to go here, like this, so it lines up properly with the alignment of the seam line right there. I'll deal with that later. I'm going to take care of the side one first. There's also these little antennae here that go like this in between the cannons. I'm not putting it on now because it may interfere and I may do more damage than good, so I'll put them on after I'm done with this. So I am going to use some super glue, considering how this is set up. Pour some super glue here first. Come on, get in there. I'm going to use a toothpick. Well, first I'm going to do this. I'm going to rub it all over the place, like so. And pour it on the side, like so. Now, it is a bit off on one and the other, so I gotta be very careful here. I just realized that right now. Oh, I think that... Oh, wait a minute. I just realized something. These are the thicker ones that go to the side, and these are the thinner ones. Oh. Shite. I didn't realize that until now. Good to know this. So I guess I have to put that here. And if I put this... I'm just test fitting it right now. That goes there. Alright. Or is it this one? I think we're going to do this one. I'm just going to hold it up right there and then do this a bit. Just keep it there for now. Let me hold that in. I better hold it in for a few minutes. Give me a minute. Okay, I just super glued all of them, but I didn't realize that the alignment on the guns and everything else did not fit properly, and I had to like take things off and put it back on again. And this one I had to put on because when I was putting it on, it didn't line up right. So right now I'm putting this on for now, and then using it as a guide. And I'm using this bottle here to act as a support while the glue dries. So I'm going to give it some time. And then once I feel that it's strong enough, then I'm going to glue on the other pieces as well. Because that one goes there, or maybe here. Yeah, they keep falling off, but I will deal with it later on. Yeah. Alright, here is the monster. And I have to say, this is one hell of a workout, building, cleaning, and sanding a very, very old yet reissued kit. Yeah. This was a lot of work. It looks great. I love it. But damn, Wow. I mean, I would say that if I would have gotten this kit decades ago, so, you know, literally decades ago, this would have, I would have just built it and didn't care about the fact of the seam lines and nub marks and whatever. But now, going back to this, I was like, whoa, this is way too much for me to process and try to comprehend the fact that, okay, you gotta clean this up and do it, and once you start with one, you gotta do it with all. Now, right now, this, okay, so I think the big issue was this massive seam line here, and to tell you the truth, I'm not even done yet. I just stopped right now. There's dust particles over the place. There's this little indentation of the plastic, and this is probably due to the molding process, where things begin to collapse inwards. And no matter how many times you sand it down, there's no way to even this out unless you put putty on it. And I'm going to probably end up putting a little bit here and then just resanding it down again. The detail in some parts I can actually take care of using the sanding saw. Not sanding saw, a saw like this. Just remove the excess right there and then dig in there a bit more, however I think I need. But it's not only just on this side, it's on this side, on the inside of the arms. Wow. That's a lot of work here. Now what I actually did was I actually sanded it down, then I put a little bit more glue on it so I can add an extra layer, and then once it dries I'll sand it a bit more. But this is pretty much 99% built. Or actually built, it's already built, it just needs to be cleaned up. There's some detail here that I found, like in this back part. There's two indentations there in the back if you want to display this, but I'm going to be closing it all the time. And there's a gap right there. I'm going to try to get some styrene sheets and cover that little area back there, because I've already glued it, so there's no way to go in and fuss with it. The cannons were the ones that were a pain in the ass to put on, because when I was holding it down and gluing it on, I looked at the angle, and it's not 100% perfect. I was trying to see if I can get it, like, even it out, but it wouldn't work no matter what I did, because if I tilted or bent one thing, it'll mess up the covers for this. Yeah, and I put these on at the very end. I just slid on in there and glued it on, so it came out pretty good. But I have a feeling it's going to be a bitch for me to paint this. It will probably have been a bitch to paint this for anybody who worked on this a long time ago. But regardless of the case, yeah, I love it. I really do. It's one of my favorite classic kits. And so you guys can understand how it would be big. Well, right now this is a 1/200 scale. I have no Gundam kits that are at 1/200 scale. They're all 1/44 scale. And to give a better sense of scale, here is a 1/44 scale, one of the Bill Burning Gundam kits that I just built for giggles. And I brought it back. I actually built this in the Dominican Republic and I brought it back. But this is 1/44. Now this is 1/200. If this was 1/44 scale, it would be somewhere around maybe up to here. Maybe 3 inches more taller, and about, yeah, bigger. It would be big, but it would not be crazy big unless you wanted to make a 1/100 scale. Then that would be crazy. But at 1/44 scale, that would be nice. The only problem is, though, they won't make them at 1/44 scale because all the model kits from Macross, if it's not 1/100, it's 1/72 scale, and if it's not 1/72 scale, it is 1/48 scale. So I know that they made some 1/100 scale kits. So if this was a 1/100 scale, well, why do I have it? I don't have, other than my wing Gundam, I think that it will probably be even taller, but maybe double the height of this guy. That's my interpretation of how big the monster would be if Bandai or Kotobukiya or it's Hasegawa. Actually, Hasegawa would be the one would do this. They will make it as a 1/100 scale, and then that will be perfect. Because then they'll fix with the alignment, they'll fix the molding, the seam lines will be taken care of. But yeah, wow, this is amazing. I love it. So I'm going to continue on with the detailing and cleaning it up, just sanding it down. And then I'm going to start working on the little mechs now. So let me give me some time to work on those.